Welcome back to the Offended Outcasts. Today, the decline of America as we know it. This is what I'm talking about, guys. This is what I'm talking about. The hustle culture has gotten so bad. The corporate grind has gotten so bad that we can't take care of our own places anymore. We're too busy working day after day in, hours and hours every week, 60, 70, 80 hours a week. And we wonder why we can't take care of our own properties anymore. Well, it's because we're too busy. We're working all the time. This is what our economy has done to us. This is what the corporations have done to us. This is what the system has done to us. This is the end result. Now, granted, this is just an old house, but I wanted to use this as an example as to what we're seeing, the slow decline. As we're working all the time, chasing the American dream, the dollar, this is what happens. We don't have time to take care of our property. We hardly got time to cut our grass, do the maintenance on our houses. This is what they're doing to us. They're destroying the very fabric of our country. I'm hoping you guys are seeing this, because this is what we're facing. Every day, everywhere we go, we see more of this. Everywhere we go, this is what America's heading to. This is what it's going to look like in another 20 years. They're grinding us up, they're chewing us up, and they're spitting us out. It's turned into an extraction machine. That's what it's come down to. Taking our money and giving us nothing in return. Where's the value in life of living if this is the end result? If this is the end of my 50 years of living on this earth, is it living in a broken down old house? Now, granted, this is not mine, but I wanted to use this as an example to make my point. This is what they're doing to us. When are we going to stand up and say, this is enough, we're not taking it anymore, and we're going to do something about it? We're at that point, because this is the end result, guys. This is where we're going to be if we don't turn around and start doing something about this. If we don't start talking about this, getting this out in the forefront and pushing back, this is going to be the end result. The decline of America. That's where we're at. And I just can't hammer the point enough. I drive around here where I live and I see more of this and more of this every day. And I drove by this place today and I said, I want to talk about this. I want to show this. I want people to see this is what's happening in our country. This is what they want. This is what they want for us. This is their vision for America. Sure, we see all the plastic cities and all the bright, shiny lights in the cities, but you get out here in the rural America, this is what you're seeing. They've crushed the rural America. People out here, they're not doing good. People are hurting. Jobs are scarce. You go fill out 300 applications and you find out none of them are hiring. The only thing they're doing is data farming us, getting our data, getting our information. Why? We all know why. It's about control. It's always coming down to that. This is what they want for America. This is their vision for America. I mean, here we are. You're working 80 hours a week. Not only this, look at what happened to the decline of the American family. We had, back in my day, Dad went to work, Mom stayed home. Then all of a sudden, now we're at...
Hello, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you're watching me from. Some white Americans are just learning that they sold their soul to racism. And I know some people will say that this has nothing to do with racism. But let me explain to you something. The hustle culture in America, of course, it's something that has been there for the longest time. But look at when Mr. Donald Trump got into the seat, this amplified almost 100 times how it was. We have seen a lot of evictions. We have seen people leave their normal life and go live a different type of life. Some people were disillusioned. And we are seeing this getting on and getting on and getting on. But one of the biggest lessons that people are learning that they sold their lives because of racism, just because they couldn't listen to what they are being told. But hey, the problem is here. The question is, how can it be fixed? So, brothers and sisters, there is this channel called Offended Outcast, and the brother in this video is really sharing a lot, and is giving a perspective showing a true house that is abandoned in the forest. People have left a normal life because life is so hard, and people have to go and look for alternative ways of making money. And that's the asshole culture in America for you, which leaves people disillusioned. People live the normal life. People try to find ways of surviving. And these are the devastating issues that racism brings. And this shows you how racism is expensive. Brothers and sisters, black people have been trying to warn you about this. Okay, let's talk about the hustle culture. Do you know what number of works black people had to do so that they can sustain themselves? You see, what white people are going through right now, it is just a wound which is open. This is a wound that black people have always been having for the longest time. But now this wound is fresh for everyone. We are seeing now the exposure of what America is. Because since black people are trying to tell you about this, you didn't listen. So brothers and sisters, watch this video and then I'm gonna be back. I'll be sharing my thoughts in regards to this. I'm your host and presenter Ejidek Stories. But until then, let's watch the video. I'll be back.
The point in our lives where it takes two people working in the home in order to make a living. So I wanted to bring this up, because this is what's causing this. Here we are. We're sitting here. Who's got time to be able to cut the grass if they're working 80-hour work weeks? By the time you get home, you're already burned out and tired and burned up. Now, you look at the cost of a new roof. We all know what that's going to cost, thousands and thousands of dollars. This is the issue we're facing today. So I just wanted to stress to you, I think, it's time for change, guys. We're going to have to start finding a way to push back against this, or they're going to ruin this country with their greed. So I want to ask you, and drop a comment down below, how many places like this are near you? When you go drive around your community, in your rural areas, how many places are you seeing like this? Because this is the question. So I know you're seeing it. This is what's happening here. Here we are. This is what they want. This is what they want for America. They're crushing our farmers. They're crushing our workers. Eventually, we got to say enough is enough, guys. This has to change because this is just wrong. I can't wrap my head around it enough. I see more and more of this everywhere I go. What are you seeing in your areas? Tell me what you're experiencing. What's a new roof costing you? Are you able to cut your grass the way you want? Are you able to get the house painted when it needs? Are you able to fix that, to call a plumber and get your sink fixed? I mean, they're pricing us out. This is what's going on. And I can't take it anymore. I don't like it. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like the direction that we're going. This has got to change. Anyways, this is where I'm at with this, Here we are. Look where we're at. Rural America. And that's what we're looking at. This is their vision for America. This is what they want. This is what they want to take us to. We're looking like a third world country. We can do better, people. We can do better. And it's going to take all of us pushing back to get there. We're going to have to stand up and say enough is enough. This has got to stop, guys. This is wrong. This is the vision of America. Is this what we want for our country? Is this what our founding fathers thought that's the American dream? Work yourself to death and end up dying in a house like that? But here's the next question I got for you. Maybe you can drop this in the comments down below. We have more houses sitting like this, empty all over this country. You know it. I know it. More houses that are sitting empty than we do actually have of homeless people in this country. So why cannot we develop a program to where we can get people to fix up these houses and start putting people in these houses and give them a leg up? and give them a chance to, give them a chance to rise. That's what it's about, helping other people. We have gotten away from being compassionate people because we're too worried about chasing the dollar. It's time to get back to giving help again in this country. I'm not talking about federal dollars here. I'm talking about local initiatives. Here, how many houses do we have like this that are just sitting empty, that could be worked on, repaired, brought back to code, brought back to a point where a person can actually live in it again? Yes, it's in a rural area, but you get my point, what I'm trying to say here. This is an important issue. To me, I think this is an opportunity where we can show we can do something about this. And it's not taking federal dollars. I'm not talking about raising taxes or anything like that. I'm talking about finding old properties like this, some in better shape, some in worse shape. Taking a little local initiative and bringing these places back, refurbishing them to where people can use these places and give it to these people who are running around here homeless. Some people are just looking for a place to stay. I've known people that have lived in places like this because they needed a place to stay. I have been in this position myself before. Anyways, this is what I wanted to talk about today. I want to encourage you guys to start pushing back. Start talking about this. Start sharing this issue. Let's get this out here. Let's change the narrative. So until next time, guys, thanks for watching. Let's rise together. What do you think, boys? You guys are spoiled, aren't you? Yeah, look at you guys. Hello all. Welcome back to Offended Outcast. Today, too old to work, too broke to quit. America's forgotten seniors. Today we're going to look at something most people in America don't really see. Too old to work and too broke to quit. America's forgotten generation. Picture this. It's 5 a.m. somewhere in America. A 74-year-old woman pulls herself out of bed, not to enjoy retirement, not to sip coffee on her porch, but to make it to her shift at Walmart. She's exhausted, her knees ache, her back is killing her, but there's no choice. The rent is due, the bills don't stop, and retirement, that dream was stolen a long time ago. This is not the America we were promised. This is not the golden years we were sold. This is a betrayal decades in the making. Let's take a look. The great retirement lie. Remember when they told us to work hard, save up, and one day we could finally rest? A house paid off, a little pension, Social Security to carry us through. That was the deal sold to the American senior. But here we are, in 2025, nearly 1 in 5 seniors over 65 is still in the workforce. Not because they want to stay active, not because they love the grind, but because they can't afford to quit. People planned, they saved, they did everything right. But inflation and cost of living increases wiped out their savings. And the Social Security check, it doesn't even cover the rent in some cases. So what happened? Who rigged this system to ensure that our elders work until they drop? The numbers they don't want you to see. Now let's get brutally honest. The average Social Security payment in the United States, according to the Social Security Administration, is about $1,900 to $2,000 per month. But for many, $1,000 is the norm. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment, $1,400 to $1,900, depending on where you live in the country. That leaves barely enough food, let alone utilities, medication, or transportation. And God forbid you need dental work or a hospital stay. And get this, 40% of Americans age 65 have $25,000 or less saved for retirement. Many have absolutely nothing at all. This isn't a safety net. This is a trap. The faces behind the statistics. How about Carl? He's 72. He works part-time at a gas station, sweeping floors and stocking coolers. Not because he wants to, but because he has to. He used to be a machinist. 40 years on the line. Company folded, pension vanished, now having to keep working to afford his meds and put food on the table. Or Donna, 76, a retired nurse, now working as a substitute teacher just to stay housed. Not for luxury, just survival. What kind of society looks at its elders and says, tough luck? You would be surprised how many comments I get saying that one. It genuinely shows the shift in perspective on how people in this country come to view the elder population today compared to a generation or two ago. Let's look at the systemic betrayal. Let's talk about how we got here. It didn't happen overnight. It happened through decades of decisions made behind closed doors and sold to the public as reform. In the 1980s, corporations began aggressively phasing out defined benefit pensions, replacing them with 401ks that shifted all the risk to the workers. Wages stagnated. Even as productivity soared, CEOs got raises, workers got left behind. Healthcare costs exploded, outpacing inflation year after year, draining more savings. Affordable housing disappeared, replaced by luxury developments, gentrification, and skyrocketing rents. All while Social Security, the one pillar meant to hold us up, was never adjusted to reflect the real cost of modern living. And what did our elected officials do? Nothing. Or worse, they helped write the rules. We bailed out the banks. We handed tax breaks to billionaires. We pumped money overseas. We brought in more people. But when it comes to seniors, suddenly there's no money. Who profits from senior poverty? Let's follow the money. This is no accident. There are winners in this crisis, just not the people who built this country. Big Pharma profits billions while seniors ration insulin and blood pressure meds, keeping us in their pockets. Real estate investors, they buy up housing, hike up the rent, and smile all the way to the bank as seniors on fixed incomes fall behind. The wealth of seniors is being stripped and vacuumed upwards. Retirement industry giants, they sell fear, they sell risk, sell reverse mortgages, siphoning off your equity. They sell you on the idea that you just didn't save enough while hiding the truth. You were never meant to win in the first place. Insurance companies, one of the worst offenders. Overpriced Medicare Advantage plans filled with fine print and loopholes. Golden years? More like gold for them and scraps for you. Fighting back. We need to stop whispering about this. Stop accepting it. This is elder abuse on a national scale. A living Social Security wage matched to inflation rates so our benefits keep pace. Rent control and affordable housing for seniors. Age discrimination laws that actually have teeth. Better health care so elders aren't dying from treatable conditions. Here's my final thoughts. So who's next? Your mother? Your grandfather? Your neighbor? Maybe even you? No one should be too old to work, but too broke to quit. No one should have to choose between food and medication. No one should die broke after a lifetime of labor. There are solutions to be had, but it's going to take a shift in perspective on how we as a country treat its elder population. We owe our elders more than this. Speak out, show up, call your representatives, and demand justice. Because if we don't fight for our seniors now, we're just paving the same broken road for ourselves and our future generations coming up behind us. After all, it's bad enough for us, let alone what is coming down the road for our children. This has been Offended Outcasts, and we're not done being angry. We can do better, and we damn well should. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Till next time, let's rise together.
It's true. Everyone is going through it. It's difficult for everyone. But at the end of the day, we need to understand, we need to talk about the problem that is on the table, and that's the idea of America's decline, which is not discussed as a single dramatic collapse, but as a slow erosion of stability, trust, and shared well being. So, one of the clearest lenses through which people view this decline is the rise of hustle culture. Yes, a mindset that glorifies constant work, self sacrifice, and productivity at all cost. While hustle culture is often marketed as empowerment and ambition, its long term impact has been deeply destabilizing for homes and families. Instead of creating prosperity for most people, it normalized exhaustion, insecurity, and the idea that survival itself must be earned through nonstop labor. Let's talk about it. Hustle culture emerged alongside major economic shifts, including wage stagnation, including rising living costs, and the decline of stable long-term employment. So, a traditional pathway to security, such as affordable housing, pension, and single income households, became less accessible. Individuals were told to compensate by working harder, longer, and more flexible. So this shifted responsibility away from institution and onto individuals, framing systemic economic failures as personal shortcomings. So families were quietly forced to adapt, often with both parents working multiple jobs, unpredictable schedules, or side hustles just to maintain basic stability. And at the same time, the home, which was once imagined as a place of rest and connection, has increasingly become an extension of the workplace. So, hustle culture blurs boundaries between work and personal life through remote work, gig platforms, and constant digital availability. Parents are physically present but emotionally drained. Children grow up watching stress replace stability, and meaningful family time becomes scarce. Now, over time, this erosion weakens relationships, increases conflicts, and reduces the emotional safety that families need to thrive. So the cost is not only financial, but deeply human. One thing that you need to understand is that economic shifts have also reshaped expectations around success and identity. So, hustle culture teaches people that their value is tied to productivity, their value is tied to income and visible effort. So, this mindset discourages rest, care work, community involvement, activities that are essential for strong families but rarely rewarded by the market. So people who slow down to care for children, elders, or their own health are often labeled as unambitious or irresponsible. As a result, families absorb the pressure of an economy that does not value caregiving while being blamed for struggling under that pressure. You understand that family has really faced a major blow, especially when we talk about the economic shifts in the United States. And look at the key drivers of this. It is the presidency of Mr. Donald Trump that has really, really driven these crazily. And we'll talk about this. The young youths, the people, are so much disillusioned to the extent that they don't want to have families. They don't want to start families. They don't want to start kids. I mean, they don't want to get into marriage and all those things because they see them that as things that will draw them away from being ambitious, away from living their dream. So you see the normal life being disrupted. And now they push you the hustle culture, constant motivation, constant things that makes you want to work so hard, of which is not a bad thing, but it only becomes bad when it now interferes with normal human routine. You see, we human beings, we are social beings. We need to have time for our families. We need to have time to socialize, to interact, and to do all these things that are perceived as important. So you understand when all these things are denied, you get to see that side of the hustle culture, and which has been amplified so much and recently as people are giving up on things that used to be important. Now, another major consequences is the fragmentation of family structures. Understand that long work hours, multiple jobs, and relocation for employment strain marriages and partnerships. Economic stress is a leading contributor to separation and instability. And hustle culture intensifies this by leaving little room for recovery or communication. When people are constantly chasing the next paycheck or opportunity, long term planning, emotional, relational, and generational becomes difficult. Families are forced into survival mode, focused on immediate needs rather than building lasting foundations. And the decline also shows up in children's adulthood before they are ready. Many young people grow up watching their parents exhausted, anxious, and overworked. So this internalizing the belief that life is a constant grind with little reward. So this shapes how they approach education, how they approach relationships, and self-worth. So instead of seeing adulthood as a stage of growth and contribution, it is increasingly viewed as a burden filled with debt, instability, and burnout. So hustle culture, rather than inspiring hope, often produces fear and resignation. So communities suffer alongside families. When everyone is hustling, there is less time for civic engagement, mutual aid, and collective problem solving. People become isolated, competing. Um, people become so much isolated, competing rather than cooperating, each trying to stay afloat in an unforgiving system. This weakens social bonds and reduces the capacity of communities to respond to crises together. The decline of America, in this sense, is not just economic, it is rational, marked by loss of shared responsibility and collective care. So, understand that the distraction caused by hustle culture reveals a deeper truth about economic shifts in America. The system has increasingly demanded more about people while offering less in return. Families have been stretched to absorb shocks that should be addressed structurally, and exhaustion has been reframed as virtue. The growing awareness of this imbalance is why many people question hustle culture itself, seeking alternative that prioritize stability, that prioritize dignity and human connection. Whether America can reverse this decline depends largely on whether it can rebuild an economy that supports family instead of consuming them. So, brothers and sisters, please let me know what you think about this video. I'm your host and presenter Tech Stories. But until then, let me see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.